everyone.
I'm Oscar from Underdog.
And I'm Konstantin.
And welcome to our ear training course.
Welcome.
So this is an ear training course. What does that even mean? Well, an ear training course is about developing a deeper musical intuition and a better understanding on a physical level, on an intuitive level of how music works. So you'll be able to hear a song and you'll be able to say, oh, I understand what's going on in that song. It's doing this and this and this. And so if I sit down at an instrument, I'll be able to reproduce something pretty close to it pretty quickly. Or if I get into the studio and I want to produce something, I'll be able to know that, oh, I'll do that same thing as that song as a starting point, and I won't have to guess too much. I'll be able to get there from a very quick and intuitive place.
And personally, as a musician and songwriter, I can say that it's the tool that I'm using all the time whenever I'm playing an instrument, writing a song, and every time I'm listening to any song, I'm analyzing and processing what chords are playing, what are the notes of the melody. And that has become my main and most powerful tool for making music.
And so you might think, what is this musical skill that doesn't use an instrument, right? And I thought so the same at the start, because the reason we actually met is because I was looking for piano skills. I was a techno producer and I was like, well, I want to become a better instrumentalist. I want to learn the piano better. And so we met and I was like, teach me some piano. And you were like, okay, maybe I'll teach you a few things. But very quickly, Constantin realized like Oscar can't actually hear the difference between various notes very well. Like he's kind of struggling. So you did this test to me. You were like, Oscar, sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And I was like, I know this. I've watched The Sound of Music. I know. You know what I mean? Like, I was a child once. I could do do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And you were like, now sing it backwards. Yeah, easy, right? And I was like, what do you mean? Sing it backwards. Do, ti. And I was stuck.
Yeah, it's
and then
not that obvious, yeah.
Yeah, right? Because there's no children's rhyme necessarily that sings it backwards. So then very quickly, the piano lessons became ear training lessons. And from that point onwards, my understanding of how music worked grew exponentially. And I'm in a much more comfortable place now.
Yeah, exactly. In most of my lessons, when I start teaching someone that wants to play the guitar or the piano, it's eventually the skill that I spend the most time teaching them. Because again, as a musician, it's such an underrated skill that not so many musicians take the time to work on. But then once you have it, it's like suddenly you can see colors where before you were colorblind. Like now it just comes to you. You hear a note, you hear a chord, you know what it is, and that just changes your life. You can see, you can analyze any piece of music you listen to live, and then it gives you endless inspiration for all your other creations because you can inspire yourself from all of these things you heard before.
And you don't have to be Jacob Collier to be able to do this.
Exactly.
And also you don't need to be into really big singer-songwriter stuff. This applies just as much in electronica and techno in a more deconstructed way, but it does apply.
Yeah. Or if you want to become like a DJ, like more of a pop DJ, like, I don't know, Skrillex or Calvin Harris or Diplo from Major Lazer, like all these electronic producers have a really good understanding of how music theory works and what chords choice they use, what melody choice they use to make their song more catchy and appreciated by the audience.
So for example, if you are a producer who has kind of started with a laptop and a dream and you find that you know that you should come up with some chords for your song, but you're doing it at random and you really don't know why you would choose one chord over the other, or you're even using MIDI chord packs, for example, this is the solution. Like honestly, there's no better solution than this.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. And you'll soon see that it's so much simpler than you think. Also, when you develop that skill and a basic knowledge of music theory, which we're going to teach you in this course, you'll see how much simpler life is and how the choice of chords you have is actually very kind of restricted. You maybe have 6 or 7 chords for all the songs you're going to play throughout your whole career. So
I find maybe one of the hardest parts of this course, for me personally, was using my voice. Because I'm not a singer. I hate singing. I don't like my singing voice. I can't sing. I have all these limiting beliefs that sort of stop me from using my voice. And some of you might resonate with that as well. And so even if you do, let me reassure you that we're going to be using our voice a lot in this course, but it's not about singing beautifully. It's not about impressing anyone with your voice. It's about using the most like versatile instrument that you have in your body, which is your voice, and use it as a kind of a measuring tool so you can map out musical ideas in your mind without needing to access a a piano keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. And as Oscar said, it doesn't have to sound good. For example, if I'm singing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do, doesn't matter if you sing it like do, re, mi, fa, sol. It doesn't have to sound good, but the pitch has to be on point. Fa, or whether I do fa or whatever, it's still a fa.
And we're going to get into that in the next lesson in more detail. But right now, just get ready to know that you're going to be using your voice a little bit and don't let it freak you out. That's the main takeaway. Exactly. And so what are you going to need for this course? Well, actually nothing, only your body and a little bit your voice. What helps is to have access to a keyboard, because sometimes it would be nice to be able to hit a note and go, is that what I was singing? You know, is that correct? That kind of helps. So being able to do that either in software or on a keyboard would be really great. And also it would help if you have some kind of musical practice. And that means, like, do you like playing piano? Do you like playing guitar? Do you like programming beats in your DAW? Whatever the heck. But it's very cool to take the lessons that you're learning in this course and apply them in your practice, because then you really learn it on a deeper level rather than just understanding it with your brain. You really start to understand it with your musical practice, you know.
And also something we have to emphasize is, don't worry, it's going to take time and it's normal. If you go through the first level and it takes you a few weeks to just master these first exercises of the first lessons, that's totally normal. And it really depends on from which level of musical intuition and what your musical background is. And that will heavily influence the time that you take. Like, for some people who've already played the piano before, you might just take one day to go through half of the level one, and that might feel really easy. But for some of the people who've never really used their voice or never touched an instrument, that could take you just maybe a few days or a week to just master the first lesson or the first two. So really take your time, be gentle with yourself, and go at your own pace. But I can guarantee you that if you take that time and that you make it a routine of practicing these ear training drills, in a few weeks, in a few months, even in a year, doesn't matter, but the person, the musician you'll become will really thank you for that work. And you won't even be able to recognize yourself on how much you've evolved musically, and you'll surprise yourself being able to recognize patterns and chords and melodies from songs. And then it will become a muscle that gets bigger and bigger the more you listen to music. So it's an exponential learning curve.
For sure. For sure. I mean, it's one of the best decisions I ever made was taking those classes with you. Honestly, it put me on the right path, and I'm still thanking myself for that. And I think one of the big milestones for me was getting to about the level, let's say level 2 of this course, and then suddenly listening to the radio and going, oh, I know how to solve this. Like, I know how to solve this problem. I'm hearing something and I'm like, I think it's nah. Yeah, I think that's right. I went over to the piano. I'm like, that is right. And it's like, I think it was like a Taylor Swift song or something, because Taylor Swift really likes the particular, the particular. She loves that a lot. And I was like, I know that pattern. And so suddenly it all made sense. Okay, well, so dive into it and take it one course at a time. And if you're noticing that you are getting a little bit overwhelmed, just remember that that's normal. And then just maybe reset back to the previous course and master that a little bit more deeply before you move on to the next lesson.
And now we'll see you in level 1.
We'll see you in level 1. Let's get into it.